The forbidden prophecies of the Bible. Warnings you need to know. What if I told you that the Bible contains messages so profound, so controversial, that many of them have been ignored, misunderstood, or even hidden for centuries? Prophecies that reveal not just the fate of humanity, but also urgent warnings for our present and future. The Bible is known as the cornerstone of spiritual guidance for millions around the world. It's filled with stories of faith, hope, and redemption. But beyond these well-known teachings lies another layer, one shrouded in mystery and controversy. These are the prophecies that challenge our understanding of divine plans and human history. Prophecy has always been a central theme in the Bible. Figures like Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel were called to deliver powerful messages from God, often speaking of events far beyond their lifetimes. Their words were meant to guide, warn, and inspire. But not all of these messages are celebrated. Some have been overlooked, dismissed, or labeled as too obscure for modern readers. Why are these prophecies less known? Perhaps because they don't fit neatly into traditional interpretations. They might speak of uncomfortable truths, challenge institutional beliefs, or demand a deeper understanding of the complexities of faith. Take, for example, the story of the Tower of Babel. At first glance, it appears to be a simple tale of human pride and divine intervention. But what if it's more than that? What if it's a warning about the dangers of technological ambition and global unity without divine guidance? Or consider Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones. This haunting image of renewal and restoration speaks not just to the people of Israel, but to anyone who has ever felt spiritually disconnected. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is hope for revival. In this video, we'll explore these and other prophecies, uncovering their hidden meanings and relevance to our world today. Each prophecy is a piece of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that, when assembled, offers profound insights into humanity's relationship with God and the divine warnings we can't afford to ignore. Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you'll discover a forgotten prophecy that might hold the key to understanding the challenges we face in our modern world. The story of the Tower of Babel, found in Genesis 11, is one of the Bible's most well-known accounts. It tells of a time when humanity was united under a single language and decided to build a tower that would reach the heavens. Their goal was not just architectural but symbolic. They sought to make a name for themselves and establish their dominance. But God intervened. He scattered the people across the earth, confusing their language and halting their progress. On the surface, this story appears to be about human pride and divine judgment. But what if it's more than just a historical narrative? What if it's also a prophecy, a warning about the dangers of ambition without divine guidance? In the modern world, the parallels to Babel are striking. Consider how interconnected humanity has become. Advances in technology, communication, and globalization have united us like never before. Language barriers are being broken through translation apps, and international collaborations are common. On the surface, this unity seems like a triumph, but beneath it lies a question. Are we repeating the mistakes of Babel? One of the key dangers highlighted by the Babel story is the pursuit of power and control without regard for divine will. Today, this ambition is evident in fields like artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and space exploration. While these advancements hold incredible potential, they also raise ethical and moral concerns. Take artificial intelligence, for example. Scientists and tech companies are racing to create machines that can think, learn, and even make decisions. But without a moral framework, what are the implications of this technology? Could humanity's pursuit of AI be its modern tower, reaching for the heavens without considering the consequences? The Tower of Babel also speaks to the dangers of centralization. When power becomes concentrated in a few hands, the potential for misuse grows. In Babel's time, humanity's unity led to arrogance and defiance of God. Today, global organizations and governments wield unprecedented influence, often making decisions that prioritize power over people. But Babel isn't just a warning, it's also a call to humility. It reminds us that true progress comes not from human ambition, but from aligning our goals with divine purpose. By recognizing our limitations and seeking guidance, we can avoid the pitfalls of Babel and build a future that honors both God and humanity. Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones, found in Ezekiel 37, is one of the most vivid and powerful prophecies in the Bible. In this vision, the prophet is taken by God to a valley filled with bones, dry, lifeless, and scattered. God asks Ezekiel, "Can these bones live?" As Ezekiel watches, the bones begin to come together. Sinews form, flesh covers them, and finally, God breathes life into them. What was once a valley of death becomes a place of renewal and restoration. This vision is often interpreted as a prophecy about the restoration of Israel. The dry bones represent the people of Israel in exile, cut off from their homeland and seemingly without hope. But God's promise of renewal offers a powerful message. No matter how dire the circumstances, restoration is always possible. But the vision also carries a universal message, one that speaks to anyone who has ever felt spiritually disconnected or overwhelmed by life's challenges. The dry bones symbolize a state of spiritual death, where faith has withered and hope seems lost. In today's fast-paced, materialistic world, this state is all too common. Many people feel spiritually drained, caught in a cycle of work, stress, and superficial pursuits. The constant noise of modern life can drown out the voice of God, leaving us feeling like those dry bones, disconnected and lifeless. But Ezekiel's vision reminds us that God's Spirit has the power to bring life even to the most desolate places. The process of renewal in Ezekiel's vision is significant. It begins with the bones coming together, representing the restoration of order and purpose. Next comes the covering of flesh, symbolizing healing and wholeness. Finally, God breathes His Spirit into the bodies, bringing them to life. This sequence reflects the steps we must take in our own spiritual journeys, reconnecting with God, seeking healing, and allowing His Spirit to guide us. This prophecy also challenges us to think about our role in bringing renewal to the world. Just as Ezekiel was called to prophesy to the bones, we are called to speak life into the broken and hurting areas of our lives and communities. By sharing hope, offering compassion, and living out our faith, we can be instruments of God's restoration. Ultimately, Ezekiel's vision is a reminder that no situation is beyond God's power to redeem. Whether we're facing personal struggles, societal challenges, or global crises, the promise of renewal remains. The question is, will we trust God to breathe life into our dry bones? Among the Bible's most chilling prophecies is the vision of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, described in Revelation 6. These four riders, each representing a different force of destruction, are unleashed as the first four seals of a divine scroll are broken. Their appearance signals profound turmoil, and their message resonates deeply with both ancient and modern audiences. The first horseman rides a white horse and represents conquest or deception. Crowned and carrying a bow, this rider has often been interpreted in multiple ways. Some see this figure as a symbol of oppressive rulers or ideologies that conquer through manipulation rather than direct force. Others suggest it may represent false peace, promises of stability that mask deeper turmoil. In today's world, the concept of conquest through deception feels strikingly relevant. Whether it's propaganda, misinformation spread through digital platforms, or the unchecked rise of influential but morally ambiguous leaders, we are surrounded by subtle forms of conquest. The White Horseman's presence reminds us to remain vigilant, questioning what we're told and seeking truth amid widespread deception. The second horseman, on a fiery red horse, represents war. His mission is to remove peace from the earth, inciting people to turn against one another. This isn't just about physical battles. It's about the breakdown of relationships, societies, and trust. In a world grappling with political polarization, civil unrest, and international conflicts, the Red Horseman feels eerily familiar. Yet, this prophecy isn't just a prediction. It's a call to action. It urges us to seek peace in our own lives and communities, countering the forces of division with love, understanding, and reconciliation. The third horseman rides a black horse and carries a set of scales, symbolizing famine and economic disparity. The voice accompanying this rider mentions exorbitant prices for basic necessities, reflecting a world where resources are scarce and inequality thrives. This prophecy speaks to the growing divide between the wealthy and the poor, as well as the environmental and economic crises that exacerbate these disparities. In our time, we see echoes of this prophecy in rising food prices, climate change's impact on agriculture, and the unequal distribution of wealth. The third horseman challenges us to confront these issues with urgency, advocating for fairness and sustainability. The fourth and final horseman rides a pale horse, and his name is Death. Accompanied by Hades, he is given power over a fourth of the earth to kill through sword, famine, plague, and wild beasts. This grim figure encapsulates the ultimate consequence of humanity's sins and failures, a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the inevitability of judgment. Together, the four horsemen serve as a profound warning about the consequences of greed, division, and neglect. They aren't just symbols of divine wrath, they reflect the outcomes of humanity's choices. In a world that often prioritizes power over compassion and material gain over spiritual growth, their message is more relevant than ever. The question these riders leave us with is simple yet profound. Will we heed their warnings and seek a better path, or will we continue down a road of self-destruction? The prophet Habakkuk is often overshadowed by more prominent figures like Isaiah or Jeremiah, but his short book in the Old Testament carries a message of remarkable depth and relevance. Unlike many prophets, Habakkuk doesn't begin with a divine message. Instead, he starts with a question, a bold and heartfelt cry to God about the injustice and suffering he sees in the world. How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you, violence, but you do not save? Habakkuk 1:2. Habakkuk's words resonate with anyone who has ever felt overwhelmed by the brokenness of the world. His questions echo the doubts and frustrations many of us feel when faced with injustice, violence, and suffering. Why does God allow such things to happen? Why does he seem silent in the face of evil? God's response to Habakkuk is both challenging and comforting. He reveals that he is at work, orchestrating events that Habakkuk cannot fully understand. He promises that justice will prevail, but on his timeline, not ours. For the vision awaits its appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. This prophecy invites us to trust in God's timing, even when it feels unbearably slow. It reminds us that God's plans are vast and intricate, unfolding in ways we may not immediately perceive. Just as Habakkuk was called to live by faith amid uncertainty, we too are called to trust in God's sovereignty. Habakkuk's prophecy also includes a stark warning about the consequences of pride and greed. He condemns those who exploit others for personal gain, amassing wealth at the expense of justice. These words feel strikingly relevant in a world where inequality, corruption, and exploitation often dominate. Yet, Habakkuk's prophecy is not without hope. In the final chapter, the prophet offers a prayer of praise and trust, declaring his faith in God's goodness even in the face of adversity. Though the fig tree does not bud and there are no grapes on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. Habakkuk 3:17-18. This closing message is a powerful reminder that faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting in God's goodness and plan, even when the path forward is unclear. Habakkuk's journey from doubt to trust serves as an example for all of us, encouraging us to find hope and strength in God's promises. The forbidden prophecies of the Bible are more than just ancient warnings. They are timeless messages that challenge, inspire, and guide us. From the cautionary tale of the Tower of Babel to the haunting vision of the Four Horsemen, These prophecies reveal the consequences of humanity's choices and the urgency of seeking divine wisdom. Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones reminds us of God's power to bring renewal and restoration, even in the darkest times. Meanwhile, Habakkuk's prophecy calls us to trust in God's timing, finding hope in His promises even when life feels uncertain. These prophecies aren't just relics of the past. They speak directly to our world today. They challenge us to reflect on our priorities, confront our flaws, and seek a deeper connection with God. They remind us that while humanity often falls short, God's grace and guidance are always available to those who seek Him. So, as we conclude this journey, I leave you with a question. Which of these prophecies resonates most deeply with you? How do their warnings and messages apply to your life and the world around us? If you're intrigued by the hidden prophecies and deeper meanings within the Bible, don't stop here. Explore even more with Shadows of Scripture, the hidden contradictions of the Bible. This thought-provoking book reveals overlooked passages and challenges traditional interpretations, offering fresh insights into one of history's most influential texts. Click the link in the pinned comment to begin your journey today.